Hello, I'm Captain Sushil Bhan, and I'm devastated, as any of you, at the news of this suicide in Bombay. Uh, I'm not going to take the name of the victim because that has no purpose as far as uh, the purpose of my talking to you is concerned. I want to introduce you, if you already don't know, to sociology. And sociology, that is, of course, a subject considered to have been founded first by Karl Marx and then put on its very strong legs by Emil Durkheim. So, what sociology says is for extreme behavior or for the decisions and choices that we make as individuals, is that all our actions are a synthesis of what uh, the society wants us to do. Very strangely, it's not even the extreme behavior like suicide is not really an individual decision, and it's such a brilliant paradigm. And I really appeal to you to study it because it'll make you better parents, it'll make you better citizens, it'll make you better champions of peace and understanding. It's a relatively young subject. Durkheim died in 1917. That was, I think, just at the end of the First World War. So it was, a long time ago. And the theory that he evolved, uh, vis-a-vis suicide, for example, is like, I mean, it's like a epiphany. It's like so true. It's like he knew what was going to happen 100 years later. What happened today, for example. So, I mean, the point that I need to make today, and I need to appeal to you to take home with you and embed in your own psyche is that the same thing is good that we learn from society, and the same thing is bad that we, inherit from society. So we have to understand this type of a seesaw. Uh, you know, we can't call ourselves a smart society if we take, one and not the other. Take the other and not the one before. That's so. It's a synthesis, and we need to be uh, at any time able to uh, uh, understand and comprehend, how we need to manage our feelings, anger, our decisions as individuals, and definitely, not harm ourselves and or harm others. So pay attention to what I'm saying. So, uh, while you will find no fault with the statement, every man needs to be distinct, needs to be uh, a unique personality, needs to walk against the current and needs to be different, so on and so forth. Have you heard this? Yeah? Every story of Shakespeare, every film that you've watched, it's about a hero who's different, who's done what nobody ever thought about. The angels there, to go. So, you know, just think about the antithesis to this. That, I'm saying, while this is what we are being told by society, but you need to understand that there is some merit in being normal, there's some merit in being just usual, there's some merit in being ordinary, there's some merit in being like everybody else, right? So it is not all or nothing. You have to understand that while it's very, very admirable to be distinctive and unique and great, but there's no harm in also realizing that there will be times when you have to, you will benefit as well from being normal, from being similar to everybody else, right? So, example of this would be that you know, would you wrestle with an elephant? You would not. Uh, so whenever such a situation appears before you, what you do is to choose realism. You say no. I mean, it's not going to work out. So, I'll find another way to deal with this sort of incongruous challenge that is before me. Uh, so, then again, what is the media and the advertisements telling you and the books telling you about self-help and motivation and, that, that's almost forcing you to, to, to keep on blowing, these pipe dreams or looking at these pipe dreams and fancification of your life and stargazing and imagining you can be all you want to be and so on and so forth. That's great. I'm not saying that's wrong, but you have to know that society is not telling you. There are certain things that that are facts, and like the elephant, for example, that's a fact. If somebody's holding a gun to your head, that's a fact. You know, um, if you saw it in the movie that the hero he did a judo move, and somehow the gun went from the villain's grip into the hero's grip. Then that is a film, and you unfortunately, without wanting to, will start believing that fiction to be true, and uh, and you would probably feel shy if you were challenged by a bully, and that if you walked away, you'd probably feel shy. And if you are so what you call it inhibited that you say no, but no, I can't walk away from any fight. I have to fight all fights. That can prove very, very costly, and it can actually end your journey on Earth. So again, prove to you there's a left side and a right side. Uh, you have to consider both. As you are being ambitious in your life, as you're aspiring for the best thing in your life, you have to know that it's all right if you don't get it. It's not a judgment uh, on your ability. That you can come back and you can have another chance, and you can try it again. And even if you're not Bill Gates, you still find somebody who will love you desperately, and you can make a go of your life, even if your pictures aren't splashed in every magazine and every TV show. So, unfortunately, uh, if you are paying attention, then you know that we seem to be very, very myopic about, what is physically possible for us, okay? And we kind of block our mind from the other side of our rationality, which is like, okay, the the truth is that there is certain things we can't do, and we can try to overcome challenges, but we can fail, and that's all right. That is, a part of taking risk is to maybe not make it sometimes, to fail sometimes, but that should not end up in a cycle where we sink ourselves into a quicksand of judgment that, oh, but we're not worth it, or something like that. You should not be. Uh, you should not be you should be very careful. This is what I think sociology is all about. It is not a subject that belongs only in the classroom. It is a subject that should travel through government policy into the farms and into the schools where bullying is happening, into the farms where suicides are happening, into high performance gladiatorial kind of car race, Formula One racing, or somebody wanting to jump from the stratosphere in a parachute or something, uh, then you know, there's got to be a limit to the kind of hero worshipping that's, portrayed. Well, the leader of your country, the leader of your faith, or whatever, has to tell you these things because, you're a kid, you're listening. When I say you're a kid even when you're old because you're listening to just one side of the story. But somebody's got to tell you about the other side of the facts, right? So the other thing is that uh, of course, in modern society, in modern democracies, everybody's free and that's the right way it should be. And but you know, is there no concern for being cooperative? Is there no value to being part of community? Is there a big problem if you have to agree with a collective decision? So this is what I'm saying. Like, of course, what I've asked you just now is good and it is bad because it is great to be an individual. It is great to be personally capable. It's great to be private. It's great to have something that is just your own, right? Isn't that what you're telling your kid? This is your private space. That's your private room. Nobody can enter here, and so on and so forth. But then don't forget what you need to also tell them. But it's very important to cooperate. It's very important to be social. It's very important to be part of the community. If a if the community principle is that you don't want to eat a certain amount kind of food on a certain day of the week, okay, so it's all right to maybe not pick up guns and arms to fight that. Maybe one has to open dialogue and be in conversation and maybe win your battle that way, change society that way, not by going against it and breaking, burning up, public property and, to make your point heard. I think uh, that's that's not successful, and you know it. And sociology, like 100 years ago, laid it out for you. Then, you know, of course, if I told you, you've heard 100 times, hey, don't don't show clannish behavior. Don't be so conceited about where you come from. What is this? Your blood is not redder than mine, or what is this groupism that you're doing? Of course, these are bad things. But are you going to be like cold-blooded and not have any affinity towards your social group? I don't think that's that. If that is the choice, okay, you don't like to be part of the clan, okay, you you, you know, so is is that uh, uh, so? Would you then choose to be cold-blooded? No, you wouldn't, right? If you can't get enjoy what the folks are doing, uh, should you be detached, right? If you can't be part of a group, should you be indifferent to them? So, these are like ideas that I'm leaving with you tonight, and you need to understand them for yourself. It won't take a lot. And I tell you, it will be very, very curated. And I believe that it will be curated to the extent that, you will help somebody from taking an extreme step. You will help if it becomes a common idea, just like people don't, you know, uh, shout abuse and profanities while in public gatherings, right? Uh, you, if you embed sociology in your imagination, you will be uh, a great asset in preventing extreme behavior to the extent of war, to the extent of oppression, to the extent of racism, to the extent of you know pervading human rights for everybody. Because when you become a uh, 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 sort of a believer in sociology, you then start to understand that you know the problems may have symptoms which are suicide, which are war, which is riot, but the remedy is not the people who are doing all of those things. The remedy is to change something structurally in society. For example, if the Constitution says that we all have the right to livelihood, right? We have all have the right to access anywhere we want. And then, if somebody is shown indignity because they are a woman and they are not allowed into a worship place, or they are the wrong color of skin and they're not allowed to board a bus, like Gandhiji was thrown off a train. So, I mean, then you will have this resentment in society, and that is what that is that feeling of injustice, and that feeling of being denied, and that feeling of being thrown into insecurity. That is the reason why there are wars, why people take extreme steps, why people rebel. So if you uh, guarantee, as a government, as a society, as senior people, and that women have inalienable rights, okay, and nobody can even dream of reaching them. And like they say, justice is required to be seen, to be believed. So when people, among women in this case, start to think of women's rights as something which is bankable, right? You will find women to not take any extreme steps. You, you immediately see. And likewise, I just give you an example. It is like, if you ensure that in the schools there was transparency and safeguards against bullying, you wouldn't have. And if the little kids who get bullied, if they didn't get bullied and the systems were working fine, you will not have, the kind of problems that you have, psychosocial problems that you have in schools, and sometimes very, very bad outcomes. You won't have that. So, you know, of course, today less and less people care about religion. And what Durkheim said of religion in sociology, it said that while industrialization has kind of made religion like, okay, if you want you can come, if you don't want you don't come. It's okay, but the modern world has not replaced religion with anything. You understand? You can't walk into somebody's house uninvited, but you can go into a church, mosque, gurdwara anytime you want. All right? They will not check you at the gate. They won't stop you at the gate. You know, and so where can you walk into the golf club like that? You can't. Can you walk into somebody's house like that, into a restaurant like that? You can't, because if you don't have money, you can't go into a restaurant. If you don't have money, you can go into a gurudwara and a temple and you'll get something to eat, right? So, so the point is that when you when you say okay, nobody should use plastic bags, then you have to replace them with something, right? So you can replace them with cloth bags. So if you want to replace religion and you want people not to have such obsessive uh, sort of belief in you know the organized religion, let's say. I don't want to go into the depths of it. I think you understand. So, but then, where is the public space where you can be with other people without being judged? You know. So, what has happened is, I think, what capitalism and modernization in general has done is that it has created this. It has created a okay. It is a bird which was flying on one wing, which let's say had was religion where you could, which was religion and your joint family and so on, which didn't require you to be extremely meritorious. You could just be all right. People still love you. You'd still be, welcome in a place of worship. And today you've cut that wing off, and you got, of course, a wing of, uh, uh, atheism and all that that has been grown. But that wing will not. It'll still be very painful for that bird to fly on one wing. What needs to happen, I think, is if you literally want to replace religion, uh, I think you need to assure people of rights and justice. And so, therefore, you have to abide by what is written in your constitution. Every government, I mean, if an Indian wants to seek a visa to go to America, they should get it just as easily as an American, can get visa to come to India. So, all I'm trying to say is, I think a lot of Indians end up in America, right? And a lot of Americans end up in India. So, uh, why is there such a huge fuss about, visas? It doesn't make any sense at all. So, if there is a understanding of sociology all over the world, I'm saying not just India or Saudi Arabia or any one particular country, I think there is a general disregard for sociology. And that in Japan, the suicide rate is so high. In America, and the what do you call it? The difference between rich and poor is so high. Um, in England, with with a small population, which is a lot of immigrant, there is a certain resentment, and that is something that needs to be uh, compensated in some way. If you think about uh, a problem, a gap, then you'll be able to think about a way to fill it. If you are going to be narrow-minded, and if you are going to shut your mind out to the possibility that some people are feeling inadequate, some people are feeling insecure, some people in your population are not enjoying equal rights, then you will have your self-scripted, the case for a war and riot and I don't know what else. Yeah. So basically, I think I'm quite happy with what I'm dealing with, and I hope that we will pick up some reading material on sociology, and we will impress upon your MLA and the board people and political discussions that you keep having every day, that they will include a sociological rationale that this dissonance of that it's either all good or it's all bad, it's either black or white, that has to go away. because because as you evolve and as you become more civilized, the gray area needs to increase because you have to accept that a lot of people will be gay. You have to accept it. If you try to ignore it, then you criminalize something which leads to a lot of problems. So I think we'll be better off. I think we'll be better off. And you know, if you look at it as a non-sociological sort of an angle, then you can go on treating one by one by one by one, and there'll be no end to the victims. They'll keep on. Just a few years ago, you had a similar suicide case in Hollywood, right? And he was a much older, much mature person, and that was even more shocking. And now you have in Bombay, and then you will have it next year somewhere else, and there'll be another one in South Korea. You know, that's a very unsmart way of living. You know, because then you're basically going out of your way to look at the micro picture and not bother about the macro. And that's very unsmart. So, well, I'm, I'm sure that most of what I've told you. If you don't, I'm very happy that we've sat and listened. Good night and stay blessed. Bye bye.